Hey there everybody, PTPOP here, leading you out of the call center rabbit hole, one grain of truth at a time. And thanks for stopping by today. I'm going to take a little break from doing commentary videos and talking about call centers directly. Today I'm going to take a look and read to you some of my viewers' comments because I've got some interesting ones. If you like what I do here, like and subscribe, hit the subscribe button, tell your friends about this channel. If you want to become a member, just for a few extra bucks, you can hear and see some of the fine production quality that goes on behind the scenes here. And I'm going to start off here with a comment that was made on my video, insane things you hear working in a call center. And if you've ever worked in a call center, you hear all kinds of crazy things, okay? I've heard all kinds of crazy things. I've had people call up and threaten to send boom booms over to the call center. I've had people that just don't understand what you're talking about. I've had people that have absolutely no comprehension of how to add and subtract. People that tell you their whole life story. It goes on and on and on. But this person here, this is from my video, insane things you hear working in a call center, and the person that commented is Holiday 197. And their comment says, I was once on a call with a customer for 15 minutes who called the wrong company with a completely different industry. And even though I clearly gave them the name of the company that they actually called and the other company's call center phone number for them to compare with on their dial, they refused to believe it. So I'm assuming that this company must have a similar name or something like that, or they must get a lot of wrong numbers because they must be prepared. They must be prepared for people to call thinking they're calling one company when they're actually calling another. They asked for my supervisor, who was also in disbelief. The call didn't end well, but I got a reprieve with my call time metrics for that call. So that was sweet. That's nice of your supervisor. In today's day and age, I'm not surprised he didn't beat you with a rubber hose or something.
That's pretty low, mister. If I had a rubber hose, I would beat you.
That's crazy. I heard that all the time. People call in, they thought they had called, I never worked for it. I worked for an insurance one time, but I never got out of training. But, if you're calling Geico and you've dialed Progressive number and people don't believe that they've dialed Progressive when they think they dialed Geico, I'm sure it's stuff like that. That is crazy. Thanks for the commentary. And then, see here, Dances with Wolves responds to my video, Top 10 Ways to Succeed in Any Call Center. And not Dances with Wolves. That was a subliminal mess up there. Dances with Fishes says, what advice do you have, or what advice have you got for people who are not natural at sales? As per another video of yours, I had to take this job to survive and put food on the table. I don't have the smooth way other sales agents have. How do you develop that? And my response down here was, I would look for videos on how to sell on the phone. I'll show you a couple things here. There's a variety of people. Number one, you should be getting the direction from your sales team and from your manager. If they're not giving it to you, and they've left you hung out to dry, they say, oh, go sell, which is what 90% of them do. I would first seek any guidance from training or your manager. If that doesn't work, see if any of your coworkers who are really successful in sales will give you any pointers. Because when I was at Wells Fargo Bank, there was a young lady who sat next to me who was always number one in sales. And I asked to sit with her. She agreed. I did a side-by-side with her, and I listened to her calls. She gave me some pointers. I would start there. You're probably not going to get far. They're probably not. Most people in sales are very competitive and aren't going to want to give up their secrets because they always want to be number one. The next place I would go would be to go on to some of these guys here, like Brandon Mulrennan. Phone sales techniques to close, his top 7 techniques. Grant Cardone, how to master phone sales with Grant Cardone. Now, I've not listened to these videos, but they've got lots of views. Between the two of them, they have almost 1 million views. I would not pay anybody. I would find free videos. Don't pay anybody to show you how to sell. Unless you want to go to the Carnegie School of Sales or whatever it used to be called. There used to be a whole series of things you can use. Sales is a whole different thing. My dad was a salesman. He worked in advertising for the Cleveland Press and a couple of small newspapers. But my dad had this knack. He was, I would say, a borderline, if not a complete sociopath. So he'd walk into a place and just charm the socks off of people and get them to sell advertising. That's the story I'm told. I don't know. I didn't really know my dad all that well, but I remember him being very kind of like whatever, kind of an attitude. You kind of have to have that I want it no matter what attitude. And you have to get some kind of thrill out of it too. When I did sales, I got a thrill out of turning a person around that first started saying no and you got them to say yes. You have to kind of find it inside you. Not everybody's cut out for it. There's very few people that are very good at it. So don't feel bad if you're not good at it, but you can improve. You can improve if you want to. If you follow these guys, you've got to be positive. You've really got to be able to handle rejection well. You can't let it get you down. That rejection should inspire you to get the sale in the next call. Anytime I got rejected, I'm like, screw that guy, I'll get it in the next call. It becomes very competitive, almost like a sport. Hope that helped you out there, Dances with Fishes. Okay, here, Ralph Carpenter 278 responds to insane things you hear working in a call center. He says, I worked for GTE and then Verizon in Tampa. I did too. I worked for GTE Wireless. And then it became Alltel, then it became Verizon. I ended up working at Verizon many years later out in Arizona, Verizon Wireless. One of the weirdest calls I took was when it was Verizon. Care had to ramp accounts, and I had a customer that was past due. I'm not certain what it means to ramp accounts, upsell them, I'm thinking. The customer kept talking about how there was a guy named the Leprechaun who was harassing him and trying to extort money from him.
I'm a leprechaun, me dear.
And that was why he wasn't able to pay his bill. He was being harassed by a leprechaun. I think that guy might have been doing some magic mushrooms or something, along with sitting next to the mushroom patch with the leprechauns and some lawn gnomes. That's crazy. Here, let me respond to that. I try to respond to as many messages as I can. This is also in response to insane things you hear working in a call center. When I was at Verizon around 2012, that's about the same time I was there. I was there from 9 to 10, I think. 9 to 10. I got a call from an old lady who was not only unpleasant but unhinged, talking about being bedridden and very specific conspiracy theories such as electromagnetic transmissions and Morgellons disease. Morgellons disease? 2 days later, I'm listening to Coast to Coast AM. Oh no. I used to listen to that all the time. And a lady calls in with the same name and city. I recognize the voice and she is talking in the same loop with the same theories. I am 99% certain that this was her. Funny thing is that even the conspiracy theory show must have thought that she was out there because they cut the call short and seemed to not take her seriously. That's awesome because I used to listen to that show all the time. They always got these whack jobs that would call in. And whether it was Art Bell or George Norrie. I don't remember if Art Bell was still on because he took a break back in the mid-2000s before he passed away. And I always wondered, number one, where they got their guests from. I always wondered, were these guests real? And were they legitimate? But some of the callers, I always thought they were ringers. I thought like Art Bell would have his friend from across the street call in and say, well, I chased down a Bigfoot in the Rockies once. And it was making love to a raccoon. You know, he had all these weird people that called in. But when I was at Verizon, I got a call from a woman, and the name popped up on my screen as Debbie Harry. Debbie Harry is the lead singer to a band called Blondie. And I don't know if that's her real name or just her show name. It's probably her show name. But when I was a kid, and this is high school, I had a crush on her, man. I just, you know us guys and our fetishes and all that stuff. This woman was it. She was the bomb for me. And she goes, hi. I said, hi. She, I don't remember what I say. Thanks for calling Verizon Wireless. This is Pete. May I help you today, Miss Harry? And I saw the name right away. I'm like, is this Debbie Harry, the Debbie Harry from Blondie? And she goes, it might be. And I swear to you, it was her voice. I know Debbie Harry's voice, her speaking voice. And I was like kind of suspicious because, wouldn't she have somebody else call for her account? I don't know how much money she's worth or anything like that, but I was like, could this really be her? And her usually the famous people's accounts, I think, went to a separate department. They were flagged to go to, I think, special handlers, like if the president called in or some governor called in, the average person wouldn't take the call. And I've always wondered to this day if that was really her. It kind of driven me crazy. I mean, maybe I could have gone on a date with her. I doubt it. But that's cool. I used to listen to Coast AM all the time. So let's go to this next question here. This next comment. Music Industry Secrets by Mark Devlin. I interviewed Mark Devlin about his new book, No One's Dad's a Plumber, or No One's Father's a Plumber. Forgive me, Mark. I think I have the book right here. No One's Dad's a Plumber. I hope you can see that. And this is a great book. If you want a book about conspiracy theories about how the music business is filled with rock stars who have connections to the military and to royalty, they just so happen to have connections to the military. None of us do. And it's really good. But anyway, Garrett Meadows 2273 says, Loose Change woke me up. Yeah, that one, that film, if you've not seen Loose Change, that one woke me up too. Loose Change is a documentary that was made shortly after 9/11, right around 2006. a camera crew, and I can't remember the guy's name that produced it. He made a documentary that didn't really come right out and say that 9/11 was an inside job, but it questioned the official narrative quite thoroughly. That made me sit back and go, oh, I never thought of it that way before. I was always like, yeah, let's go get those people over there in the desert. Yeah, let's go get them, And then when I saw this, I'm like, oh, maybe it was all a false flag. So that was a bad moment for me because it really was like a slap or a punch in the face. The truth behind the 7-minute talk time rule. Yeah, I've got a video about that, and it drives me crazy. The 7-minute talk time. I would sit there in these calls, so I'm trying to figure out where they came up with 7 minutes. So they just pulled that right out of their backside. Mr. Roboto81 says 7 minutes. Damn, I have given anything for that. Our AH time was 2 minutes. I think you meant thank God, but you said thank dog. I think you meant thank God. I got the hell out of the customer service almost a decade ago. Yeah, dude, consider yourself so fortunate if you don't work in customer service, especially today. I've never heard of 2 minutes. What kind of industry was that in? I'll even read this one. The memoirs of Billy Shears debunked the Paul is dead theory. Jackheat999 says, oh my God, this guy talks so much shit. Ha ha ha, it's laughable. Okay. I don't remember what I said in this video, but I'm pretty much sure I was saying I didn't really get into this. I'm not really into the Billy Shears. No offense, Mike Williams. The memoirs of Billy Shears. There were a lot of inconsistencies in the book that I found. And, I could be talking shit. I don't know. There's a lot of things I've seen that show that Paul McCartney is still alive. One guy did an analysis of the veins of his hands from like 1962 to 66. And now, and his veins are identical. I don't want to lose any sleep over this anymore. The Beatles still are a great inspiration to me. That's why I write songs and everything. The truth behind the 7-minute talk time. FMF Mendoza 7820. What is absolute madness to me is how they measure literally everything, even the way you speak to customers. Where I am. They have a new software that tracks every step of the interaction. They came up with a script we need to follow on every call, and the software tells them how accurately. Yeah, I can't even imagine what it's like now, because they probably have a bot listening to your call, and it can feed back to the representative every word you said. When you breathed, when you said, if you left one word out of the script. When I was at Dell America, if you missed one word on the script, they would pull you aside. I screwed up some script when I was selling, magazines. And I was selling, I don't know, we were selling like Rolling Stone and Playboy and stuff. And at the time, this was just a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I didn't know they still printed magazines. I mean, who's buying Rolling Stone magazine anymore? If it's even still around, I don't know. I don't know who would bother. And the guy took me aside. He's like, you've got to read these verbatim. We have a legally binding contract with these companies that you have to read them verbatim. If you don't, I'm sorry, I got to write you up. And I was like, whatever. And the guy next to me, as I've told you before, this old guy will come in all liquored up. You could smell the booze on his breath. And he'd be talking in different accents. Like, sometimes he would be British, sometimes he'd be Russian. I thought it was kind of an intriguing way to do it. He got taken. I think he was walked out pretty quick. I just resigned. Let's try one more here. The truth behind. Oh, see, let me comment on this on Mendoza's. Okay, this is in response to the same video. The truth behind the 7-minute talk time rule, and this is the last one I'll do. As this is from S Jones-KK5LG. Riddle me this management. I'll pull it up here. Riddle me this management set metric where they reduced our wrap-up time to 5 minutes and our idle time to 5 minutes. Idle time to 5 minutes, that's weird. While maintaining 100% service level in answering inbound calls. Our idle time is available for calls, and wrap-up is equivalent to time finishing an account after call before dialing out or receiving a call. Basically, they want us constantly dialing out with little time to finish accounts. That means idle time is reduced, which makes not as valuable for inbound calls. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I've never heard of 5-minute idle time. Because that's usually the time you're waiting in between calls. Because in some call centers, you have to hit a button to bring the next call in. Most places nowadays, I think it comes in automatically. You don't have a chance to go idle unless you kind of log out of the phones. I haven't been in a call center in about 10 years, but yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. I don't even know how they get away with it. I don't know how they legally get away with it. Aren't there any employment laws in place that protect employees? Does everybody have to go back to unions? I think we should go to unions. But I don't even know how much power they have anymore, because it seems like the corporations always find ways to worm their way out of the agreements they make with the unions. I love these AI responses I'm supposed to send you guys. Yeah. We'll do one more. This is a same video. The truth behind the 7-minute talk time. And this Mr. Brandon is a guy who I'm going to have in my documentary. He's a great guy. Lives he works in IT. I talked to him, had a Zoom call with him. He was great. When you couple that with our microwave society and lack of patience and impulsive control, it's a miracle more people haven't snapped. We are humans, not robots. The human body will fight back if constant stress isn't removed. It even sometimes selects death as a solution. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day, and it seems like we always resort to violence. As the human species, we resort to war. It seems to be the final resort, the last resort. It doesn't ever seem to resolve anything permanently, which is kind of odd. You think all that misery and suffering and bloodshed would put an end to the way we do things, but it seems like every time we have a war, we just go back to the way we were doing it before, or we repackage it, and it's the same thing, just packaged differently. And I agree. I think people are on the edge. I think right now people are on the edge. And I think the next revolution is not going to be us against each other, brother against brothers, brother and sister against each other. It's going to be the brothers and the sisters uniting, going up against the corporations. That's what I think the next war is going to be. And if the people don't wake up pretty soon, our lives are controlled, by the corporations. The governments No longer. The governments are controlled by the corporations, and our government's controlled by another government, and I'm not going to go into that. So what other experiences have you guys had? Leave your comments. Let me know what your experience has been, either with weird calls or listening Coast to Coast AM. Do you believe in aliens? Do you believe in Zontarsky? If you want to watch my other channel, I've got Midnight Mutant Theater, where you can watch me review old monster movies. I'm telling you, some of these movies are dogs, man. I know how the real monster movie hosts do it, because some of these movies are terrible. But leave me a message, give me the thumbs up, subscribe, and hope you're all having a good week. And I will talk to you all later. Thanks for all the comments, everybody. Bye.
Well, I didn't know about your demons, but fed them all, kept them screaming in your ear all day and night. But after all these years,
Talk to you later, everybody.
demons fuel my tears and they keep me all night.
Would you like fries with that? Would you like fries with that?